Hello there, friends, and welcome back to more Bravely Default. Last time, we beat the game a second time and got to showcase a lot of stuff that I either completely forgot to mention or stuff that I omitted from the base playthrough. We also got to talk about my opinions on the loop and the ending of the game. It was a nice talk, and while we don't have confirmation for a lot of stuff that I talked about, it's nice to get it out there. It's been something that I've deliberated for about a decade now. Anyway, what else is there left to do if we've gone through the game a second time, if we fought all the Nerende bosses we can, and seen everything else there? What is there left to do? Well, there are two more bosses, I guess you could say, that we have yet to tackle, and I want to show them here today. But because they are exceptionally difficult, and I kind of want this episode to kind of feel like a victory lap after everything that we've gone through, I intend to use these two battles as a way of showcasing just how far we've come. For this first trial, we find ourselves here at Eternian Central Command. This will be the build I'm using for this upcoming trial. I have 3 vampires with sword magic as their job command, and Ringabel as a spearmaster with white magic. Their support abilities for the vampires are all the same. It's the tried and true physical vampire build with Drain that you have been seeing for a good while at this point. Ringabel is running Hasten World, Holy One, BP limit up. Hasten World is kind of the crux of this build, so make sure you have it on at least one character. So, what is there here for us at Eternian Central Command? Well, actually, remember whenever we went through that huge gauntlet of Eternian bosses right before we went and challenged Aerie at Grand Ship? Well, if you were to go back and talk to Brave after you have completed this trial, he has something for you. Hello there, Brave. If we talk to Brave again, he'll give us a cutscene.
Is there something more I can do for you, Lady Vestal?
We can see representatives of each team here greeting us, except for the Blood Rose Legion for some reason. And you can say nothing right now, and you can be on your way. But if you say, I'd like to fight again.
You feel your training does not yet suffice? Then we'd be delighted to help. Eh, fellows?
What? Again? This is abuse!
Back for another lesson, are you? I've a few things left to teach.
I do love a good fight.
Insolence!
Vestal, Adia, you're as bloodthirsty as I.
Will not hold back, Lady Vestal. Now, my sentinels, take up your positions!
So we start off by fighting the Profiteer, Einherja, and the Jackal. I'll be going into what exactly this means in just a second, but the general gist of this encounter, I just kind of want to talk about my opinions on each of these characters. So, the Jackal, not one of my favorite characters, I'll be honest. I think he has some of the best lines in the game, but in terms of his characterization and his backstory, I'm not really that big of a fan. Einherja, I think, is one of my personal favorites, especially when it comes to the Blood Rose Legion. And trust me, I think the Blood Rose Legion, like, even though De Rosa is a psychopath monster and Biphilia is also a psychopath, I think in terms of writing, they are some of the best. And Einherja, I think, is up there. She is sort of a mirror of Adia, someone who is obsessed with their training, and someone who holds their ideals above everything else that they have, but she's on the Eternian side of things, rather than breaking from it and joining the side of the Vestal. Profiteer is... I think he serves his purpose as an antagonist, and I think he represents a definitely really real problem with the real world in terms of the money-grubbing rats that are all around. But
These rats are not
I was just talking about rats. But also, I think that he adds enough cartoonish, like Saturday morning cartoon flair to his character that he just feels more like one of those 1960s Batman villains, and I'm okay with that.
This cannot be!
Profitor! That was pathetic!
9 damage. But those 3, I think they're pretty cool. I think overall, none of them are really my favorite, but I think they'll have their place in this game, in this narrative.
Looks like they took it out of you. Well, brace yourselves for round 2!
What? Wait, what? No break?
There is oft no rest for the weary in battle.
Is this part of that no holding back that was mentioned earlier?
Fight!
Yes, sir, Kamizumi, sir. We will fight. Yeah, so the gimmick of challenging Brave again after you've gone through the entire cycle is you fight every single team again. Back to back to back. No breaks, your stats do not reset. You have to go into every single encounter with the same stats that you ended off the previous one with. So, that's why I'm going with this strategy that has a lot of fail-safes. And I can get rid of all of them without using too many resources. There are other ways of doing this. This is just the strategy I decided to go with. So going down the line again, let's talk about Heinkel. Heinkel, I think I've already kind of voiced my opinions on Heinkel before, but Heinkel is a character that I think that they nailed the whole knight and the veteran of Eternia sort of style with him, where you can tell that he's experienced and you can tell that he knows exactly what he's doing. And that there is still an air of chivalry around him, even after the atrocious acts that he has done in previous chapters. He follows his own duty and his own code, and that's something that I respect about him. I think he's an interesting character. I would have liked to have a little bit more, like, maybe an entire sub-scenario focused on him rather than the main scenario. I'm getting Nothing Ventured killed here, but it's not, he's never gonna kill his unless he crits. But I think Heinkel's cool. If we go to Kamizumi, I've already mentioned that he's one of my favorites, if not my favorite sub-scenario character of all. Actually, I would probably put him at number 1. The entirety of the Way of the Sword scenario quest line, where you can eventually convince and save Kamizumi based on his connection to Edea, is one of my favorite things in this game.
Looks like I slipped up.
Holly is the perfect representation of the asshole healer that any, like, every single time I see Holly, I'm just reminded that of like the weird shows that always depict the healers as being, you know, the anxiety-filled klutzes, and I'm like, no. The healers that I know, they're assholes. They're assholes. And Holly is a perfect representation of that. So, and I mean, she does have a soft streak, which is nice. But she is kind of an asshole. And I find it fun just to watch her and Barris bicker. And then obviously Kikyo, she's not on the field anymore, but I guess I can talk about her a little bit. The reason why I don't think she's really all that interesting until she starts talking is, well, okay. I think her gimmick is really cool, where she is only comfortable talking while in disguise. I think that's a really neat gimmick. But I think that I don't want to say she's too dumb to be a ninja, but she feels similar to Profitor, where she feels like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. Like, as soon as she's been got, she's like, "Ah, you found me." She doesn't actually try to use the disguise as a means of convincing people that she's not who she seems to be. Obviously, that's for the sake of not extending a plot longer than it needs to be, but I don't know. She doesn't really I guess she's more of a ninja and rather than like a spy. Espionage may not be like her full thing. It might be more of just sneaking around, but I like things about Kikyo, but I have a few personal qualms with her.
Must be your lucky day, Barris. I must say, I'm impressed you passed the Swordmaster.
Prepare to fight, you bilge rats! Yeah!
Here's your encore performance.
I think this is probably the team that I am the most split on, because we have two of my favorite attorney and officers, Alternus and Barbarossa, and one that I'm not too interested in, which is Barris, and then we have Praline. Let's start with Praline. So, why do I not like Praline very much? Well, I find her music very annoying. So, in both languages, I find her music very, very annoying. That's not a dig on the singers at all. There are a lot of people who really, really love Praline's music. It's not for me. And because I have to hear it whenever I'm watching her cutscene, it gets annoying. The second thing is, I just think that her character is really annoying. I mean, obviously, she's supposed to be this very vain and obviously, like, very, what's the right word? Honestly, vain is pretty good. she's similar to Holly, kind of an asshole. She has a lot of pride, and I just get annoyed whenever someone feels too much of themselves, you know? It just gets really, really annoying. And obviously, Praline is very much that. And also, you know, her whole sub-scenario forcing you to go around the entire world multiple times. Yes, you can technically wait until you have Grand Ship in order to do that, and it'll be much quicker. But if you want to do it during the time that you've been given the sub-scenario, first and foremost, and because performers are really good early on, you want it, that means you get to go through the Miasma Forest twice. Yay! I guess before they die, let's talk about Alternus. I've already talked about my piece on Alternus, so I'll keep it brief. Alternus is one of my favorite characters in the game, and his connection to Ring a Bell is something to be studied, man. Like, every version of Alternus understands exactly what they are feeling and are ready to pass that emotion on to every single version of himself. It's a really interesting connection between every version of Alternus. Barris he serves his purpose in terms of the narrative. I think Barris is okay. I think Holly's a little bit more interesting, but Barris, I think he's cool. And if I ever need a laugh, Barris is there to make me laugh.
Better than fighting to your last breath.
Exactly, Barris. Barbarossa, I've kind of gone over my opinions about Barbarossa. For being a pirate, he's a very honorable man. I guess he kind of follows the pirate's code of some of those pirate movies, you know? But he's a very honorable man. And he's done a lot of good in this world. He's done a lot of bad. He's, you know, helped the Black Blade stage revolution. But he's also done a lot of personal good for the people he cares about. And I like that.
Were you hoping for a rest? Too bad!
We know! No need to gloat, you little weasel! He really is.
No argument here. You insolent little... that goes for the rest of you, too!
It's sweet of you to give them this time to recover.
Silence! I'll show you all my... Forward to battle!
This is the only team I'm somewhat worried about when it comes to this team comp. If I don't kill them in one turn, uh-oh. So I'll have to play this safe. Okay, so let's go down the lineup, shall we? Okay, so let's start with Ominous. I've talked about how I'm how his obsession with seniority and authority is something that I think is really interesting, despite it being a very simple character trait. And his stutter is a neat character quirk. I don't think it hinders his character, and I don't think it improves it. But it's pretty cool. Next is Kata, and I mean, I like his voice actor in both Japanese and English, and I think I praise them for making an antagonist that is entirely irredeemable. But that's about it. I mean, he's an asshole. He's a horrible, horrible, horrible person. And I'm glad that there is no redeeming quality for him. And I think that I don't think that makes him one of my favorite characters, but I'm glad that there is there's like 3 truly despicable individuals in every single world that never have any redeeming qualities. It kind of adds to the idea of, are there truly evil people in the world, or is everyone just a mix of black and white? For some cases, there are people who are truly good in every world, and then there are cases like Kata, Cravature, and DeRosa who are evil in every world. Going to Mephilia, honestly, she was never one of my favorite characters until I started reading the D's Journal and reading on Suleiman and going through replaythroughs and having context of her characterization and what the Flory Gardens did to her. And I don't think she's one of my favorites even after this. I mean, she's the summoner representative, and there's not really much love there. But I think that, again, the Blood Rose Legion I think is pretty solid in terms of writing. And Mephilia is in the Blood Rose Legion, so that automatically gives her a lot of credence. And, of course, Sage right here. Despite his very unethical advances towards women, I think he's cool. I mean, obviously he's an immortal. He's very important to the narrative. I think his past with the Orthodoxy and how he was able to manipulate it, and how clever he is something to be praised and to be in awe of. But of course, the way that he treats himself around, especially our heroines, even especially in the Japanese version, he's definitely not the nicest person.
I must say, you lot are rather resilient.
A pity your struggles have led you to us. But we wouldn't be us if we let pity sway us.
If anything, kicking them while they're down is our forte.
But all this talk is a bore. It's time for violence!
Probably my favorite quartet out of the bunch, just for their fight alone. So, what do I think of these guys? There's a lot to unpack here. I guess we'll go ahead and start with the least interesting in my opinion, and that is Victoria, actually. Victoria's obsession with death and wanting to, end her own life and taking the anger of not being able to die out on other people is a really, really cool concept. But, I mean, talking about her without Victor here is kind of, it does not feel right. It feels really weird to do that. But, so talking about herself, I think her entire personality about basically sharing her pain and anger because it's the only way that she can keep herself sane is really, really interesting, despite the fact that she's still very, very much insane. I wouldn't say that she's my favorite character, and I very much enjoy beating the crap out of her whenever I get the chance to. But I think she's interesting. Her and Victor are probably the best character duo out of the Eternians, in my personal opinion. That's including Lester and the Sage. The whole idea of obsessing over this, like, Victor doesn't even really see Victoria as a person. He just sees her as an accomplishment. Going to DeRosa, again, horrible person. the holder of my favorite job in any video game ever. Well, honestly, Red Mage is my favorite across every single Final Fantasy, so, you know, of course, he gets good boy points for that, but that's pretty much the only thing he gets good boy points for. He's the most vile person in the Attorney and Officer lineup, in my personal opinion, and he's a psychopath, and I'm glad that he's down. Kint, I think, was a little underutilized. A lot of his characterization, a lot of what he did as a Attorney and Officer is put on the down low. That might be specifically for the narrative, but if you can go multiple playthroughs without even knowing that he was gifting money to Eternia, you might just think, oh, then he's just a random sellsword that Eternia hired for many playthroughs. You actually have to actively go out of your way to look into him in order to be interested in his character, and I think that's cool in some ways, but I also think that they should have put a little bit more of his character into the main game itself. And of course, Lord Deroso, I've gone over my opinions on him before. I think he's really cool. The fact that he's not really a vampire and that he just kind of leaned into that moniker is awesome. I really like that idea, that he just took it and ran with it. And the fact that he had a grudge for 500 years, I can understand that.
Did I not tell you, Victor?
Yes, but for them to truly make it this far...
It is but a taste of the bitter task that lies ahead for their Fellowship of Four. May this prepare you for the darkness ahead, Lady Vestal.
I don't know, Brave. If you were doing all of the fights in this game legitimately, this gauntlet is, without a doubt, way harder than Ouroboros or Aerie, on the hardest difficulty, too. So, actually, you might be the toughest gauntlet that we've ever faced. I think that most of the demon bosses most of the Nerende bosses are probably harder than this gauntlet, just in general, but still, these guys are tough. These guys are really tough. I guess we'll go ahead and just do Stillness and Asunaga here. Just get rid of the poison. Okay, so going down the list, let's talk about Artemia first. Again, Blood Rose Legion, I think out of the Blood Rose Legion, she's probably the least interesting character. But I think Artemia's story and how she became how she is cool enough. And her connection with her two Venus sisters, of course, is really, really sweet. And I like all of them a lot. Victor, again, similar to Victoria, kind of weird to talk about him without his counterpart. But Victor, being someone who's obsessed with his craft and will stop at nothing to keep Victoria alive, just to prove that he can save her, is definitely not healthy. But again, probably my favorite duo out of the bunch, and I like him a lot. I think his design is also one of my favorites, with his gray and white hair and the Spirit Master outfit in general just being one of my personal favorite designs. I guess the only thing I'm not a big fan about Victor, or at least I'm curious, I always thought he used a coat rack as his weapon. Is that just me? I always thought he used a coat rack. Anyway, I guess we'll go to Cammer next. Cammer is the bestower of some of my favorite lines in this game, like, "I'm a king, boy," or "Old man TikTok," He has some of my favorite lines in the game, but other than that, I think he serves his purpose as a pretty early game villain, but otherwise... King! I just don't think he's really that interesting. Thank you, Artemia. Brave is... In the first half of the game, I think he's probably one of the least interesting antagonists in any video game. He's just basically an opposition just to be one. He doesn't really do anything. He talks all this big talk about having a big plan and the main character's not understanding anything, but does nothing to actually teach us about what we need to understand. He and Edea are very much father and daughter in terms of their stubbornness. But in the later chapters, whenever he's willing to open up to us, he becomes a perfect balance of a very dangerous and intimidating leader and a kind and caring father. And I love that dichotomy. And to see versions of Brave grow as we see Edea grow throughout the narrative, to start accepting other ideas and to see the world in a more nuanced way, is awesome. Another reason why the Lee family and Komuzumi's part of that are probably my favorite characters in this game. What a wonderful cast of characters we have here.
I commend you, Vestal. The most elite of the Duchy's troops have fallen by your hand. Use that same steadfast determination to fulfill the hope that lies deep in your heart. Now go forth! Go forth and save this world! We will remain here. Should your heart waver, return to us at any time.
I thank you.
So, yeah. I mean, obviously, thank you for, battling us, and we get to see all the attorney and officers one last time. If you want to go through the gauntlet again,
There's something more.
you can. This is infinite. Now, the gear that you get from you get a few pieces of gear, but the items that you obtain from completing this, you will constantly obtain. So if you need a bunch of elixirs or mega elixirs for any reason, there you go. I'm gonna go heal up and change my build a little bit, because there is one more person that I want to go say thank you to and see one final time before this adventure comes to a close. Someone that has been with us since from the Nerende Ravine to right before our final confrontation in the Dark Aurora. And I want to go say thank you to them. And that requires me heading over to the Dimensions Hasp. So, I'll see you there. And so we find ourselves back here at the 10th basement floor of Dimensions Hasp, where we obtained the Durandal weapon. I mentioned that there wasn't anything else for us here, and sorry guys, I lied. There actually is something here. Whether you are in the true ending or the finale ending, going behind this blue chest here that held the Durandal, there is a very interesting wall right here. We walk through it, it's a hidden area. Going a little bit further south, we get to meet with the Adventurer. What are you doing over here, buddy? I had doubted any human eyes would see this place save mine. What do you say? Fancy a match as long as you're here? Hang on. Ah, that's a shame. Another time then. No rush at all. Trust me, just give me a second. I want to prep real quick. So yeah, our final confrontation here today is with the Adventurer themselves in this nice little box, and it kind of skirted off a little bit in Dimensions Hasp. This is, without a doubt, the hardest battle in the game if you do not have any Nerende Village demons. So we need to prepare accordingly. Anius and Edea are running identical builds, being both ninjas with sword magic, running the tried and true frenetic fighting Hawkeye precision build. The reason why I have this is because Ninja has access to some of the craziest single target damage in the game, and I want to be able to control where their attacks go, so no Dark Knight here. His is going to be on Performer running Miscellany. If you remember from the Nemesis boss battle episode, he's going to be running the build that Anius was, utilizing My Hero and Mimic in order to give the party an infinite supply of BP, even with Hasten World being applied. He'll have speed 30% up, BP limit up, and Angelic Ward. The speed 30% up is mostly to make sure that he can go first as often as possible. Ringabel has not changed. He's on Spirit Master White Magic. He's going to be our Stillness caster, as I would highly, highly recommend. Even if you're not intending to break this encounter, bring Stillness. You're gonna need it. Hasten World Holy One BP limit up. If you don't want to bring Stillness, or you want to be extra careful, bring a Salve Maker. It doesn't have to be the job, but bring someone that has access to compounding, and make a bunch of giant drafts for your team. It'll double their HP count, and for most of you who will have around 8,000 to 9,000 HP for level 99 characters, that'll be roughly 16 to 20,000 extra HP. So, hey, that's pretty good. This is the build I'll be running with, because while I do want to showcase just how strong you can be in this game, I actually want the adventure to be able to somewhat showcase what all they have to offer, and I don't want this to be over if I just go ahead and bring 4 Valkyries and super jump the whole way through. I don't want to do that. I want this to be a true test of our progression as a team. And the adventurer, I think, is someone who fits the bill as being our final confrontation perfectly. They've been here since the very beginning, and they are going to be the one who decrees the end. Kind of you to call again. What do you say? Fancy a match as long as you're here? Let's take up the challenge. Alright, you're on. I'll hold nothing back. And neither will we. The Adventurer and their companion is a brutal battle of wills. The Adventurer has a boatload of HP, and their companion is no slouch either, having a roughly 50,000 HP. This fight is a bit of a puzzle. While I go ahead and set up, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about this. I want to first talk about the companion for a moment here. The companion has the innate ability Protect Ally. Now, normally that only works if you are low HP. However, the companion will protect the adventurer from any physical attack as long as they live. You heard that right. You have to take down the companion if you want to actually hurt the adventurer directly. Use AoE moves if you want to deal with both of them, but otherwise you're going to be running on the back foot a little bit here until the companion is down and out. The companion also can apply multiple status ailments, as we just saw with Blind, AoE Blind. So, ailments are also a problem, but realistically, none of this should be that big of a deal, as long as you have a means of taking down the companion constantly and dealing with the ailments. Thankfully, I do. We'll have Tiz here go ahead and cast some singing abilities, so we can have that ready to go. And I'm going to have Ringabel cast a Sunaga. Both bosses here have access to Braving because of Hastened World, which means the companion can act twice. Normally, whenever they brave, they'll be doing 2 regular attacks, or an attack plus an ailment. Take the companion out first, and then go for the adventurer. The adventurer we just saw has that mass slash attack. That is basically an AoE Godspeed strike. It deals massive physical damage to everyone on the field, and you want to make sure that you are in a healthy spot before you try and survive one of those attacks, because trust me, you weren't going to last very long if you don't. I am going to have Tiz actually cast 2 Love Powers here. Hopefully he goes first, and if he doesn't, that's okay. Love Power, okay, he went first. The idea here is really to have one of my ninjas take down the companion, and then have the other one take down a huge chunk of the adventurer's HP. That's the general idea with this build. Mass Slash again, 0 damage. Something we need to be careful about is that the adventurer has access to multiple abilities, not just Mass Slash, not just a regular attack. The adventurer also has access to Meteor, which makes this battle pretty difficult, as you have to worry about magic and physical defenses and debuffs. Be on the lookout for that, as, again, stuff like this can get pretty difficult. One more thing I would like to mention before we continue with this is that Fairy's Ward is your best friend. Being able to mitigate status ailments is amazing. If you've gone through the game 4 times and you have 4 ribbons, that also works, but I don't, so obviously I'm not going to be using that. Instead, I'll be using Fairy Ward to mitigate all of the potential ailments that the companion can utilize. And yeah, if there is a turn that the comrade... No, sorry, I've been saying companion this whole time, haven't I? Well, it's okay. Any turn after the comrade is down, the following turn the adventurer will bring them back. Which means, guess what? You're going to have to constantly take them down. So that's what we're going to do. Basically, this is a battle of attrition. The adventurer has a boatload of HP, and so we're going to be here for a while. Well, I'll just say that. We'll actually have Tiz Brave a few times here. We'll have him do 2 My Heroes and a Love Power. There we go. And then we'll have Ring a Bell do Stillness. Perfect. This is the general gist for this build, and honestly, this is how I originally beat the adventurer on my first ever go-around. Was 2 ninjas, a performer, and a spirit master. And since I'm on hard mode right now, honestly, this is not a bad build to run. There's a high chance that you're going to finish this entire battle unscathed. But man, if you let your guard down or the turn order is not in your favor, the adventurer can immediately wipe out your entire team. Obviously, I am safe from 1 instant kill hit with this build thanks to my maximum HP with buns and whatnot. But trust me, this fight can get out of hand really fast. There's Call Comrade, but thankfully we're already back up and ready to attack, so Anius is going to go and try to kill off the Comrade. In a deal, we'll be doing chip damage to the adventurer. Tiz has his BP up here, but we're just going to do a Love Power, My Hero, and Mimic. The general idea is to keep everyone's BP up as high as possible, while also resetting our physical attack bonus as often as possible. If speed is something that you're worried about, have your performer do an extra boost and have them apply Love Rush. That way, you keep your speed bonuses as high as possible. Or have them sub-job Vampire of some kind and slow them down. The companion has roughly 50,000 HP, so being able to take them down with ease like this is very, very, very important. Pretty solid damage. Yeah, unfortunately, I did Fairy's Ward instead of Stillness there, so we might be in a bit of trouble. I guess because I messed that up, I can go in for another round of attack. And then I'll do My Hero and Mimic. We'll end it there. And then we'll go for Stillness, and we'll go for a Kiraga. The adventurer will be calling Comrade this turn, which means we are in no threat of damage being dealt to us. Again, the adventurer will dedicate their next turn after the Comrade is down to reviving them. So you can use that to your advantage and take advantage of their open nature. Nice. Kiraga. There we go. Here's Call Comrade. We are currently in Stillness, so I'm actually going to use this turn to re-up our Firaga boost. None of the bosses here have a weakness, but because Sword Magic gives you that extra magic damage based on your intelligence stat, having it on is going to increase your damage no matter what, anyways. I guess Tiz can do a My Hero boost and a Love Power. And then Ring a Bell, we can just have you default. Okay, the adventurer's braving this turn. Firaga. There's Blind, but we guard it. There's Mass Slash, but deals 0 damage. 2 Mass Slashes. And then we can go the offense again. This is the general gameplay loop. Again, you can completely trivialize this encounter by just doing super jumps, but I at least wanted to give the adventurer a chance to showcase what they could do. Doing this fight legitimately, we would be here for way longer than I want to be, so I don't want to do that. And also, this is a perfect way of showcasing just how strong you can really be without completely breaking the game. As if I do something wrong here, there's a high likelihood that things aren't going to end well for me. So I have to play this careful. Protect Ally being a nuisance, but the Comrade goes down. Take down the Adventurer. I think we're nearly there. I'd say maybe like a third of their HP left. We can default this turn. I guess I'll have his maybe just re-up Love Power or something, and we can have Ring a Bell re-up Fairy Ward. There we go. Here's Call Comrade. We go in for the attack again. Man, I love ninjas so much. Then we have Tiz support the ladies with Mimic and his attack boost. Sure, let's go for another Mimic, why not? And then Ring a Bell will cast Stillness, because I'm afraid that the Adventurer will Brave here. So that's why I cast Stillness on our attack turn. As if the Adventurer Braves, there's a high chance that at least one or two of my teammates are going down. So I just play careful. Hey, there we go. The Adventurer is down. That is our final confrontation done. For beating the Adventurer, you obtain a potion and the Adventurer's Mark. Marvelous. I'm well and truly bested. Didn't see it coming, I must confess. That was the most fun I've had in ages. Anytime you'd care to go again, just say the word. Anytime at all. Just like the boss rush, you can fight them again. Kind of you to call again. What do you say, fancy a match? Yep, you can fight them as many times as you want, and you can get as many adventure marks as you want. The Adventurer's Mark is basically just, where are you? You're a key item. Adventurer's Mark, the mark of an adventurer. All it is bragging rights. If you want to show to your friends that, hey, I beat the adventurer, you can show them that you have this item. But otherwise, it's really, that's pretty much it. That is our final challenge here. This was our biggest showcase of strength. And it really shows just how powerful you can become whenever you set your mind to it. Thank you, Adventurer, for always being there for us. For always saving our game. For always being a constant voice of kindness. Thank you for everything that you did. And that is everything I have to say and show about Bravely Default. However, before we wrap up completely today, I have a few people to thank, as this project wouldn't have been possible without their help. I want to say thank you to my friend Miyu for making the amazing hand-drawn banners that you saw in every single thumbnail used for this series. Working with her to capture the style of Bravely Default's art and Aries' wings was a truly wonderful experience, and I think she did an awesome job with the limited time she had to make them. Sorry again. Thank you to my sister, Silverfrond, and my mother, Lily, for being a constant source of encouragement to keep making this series, and always getting on my case about forgetting to schedule videos on time. I can guarantee you that we would still probably be in Chapter 2 if it wasn't for them haggling me. Thank you to my father, who edits videos for a living, and always took time out of his busy work schedule every week to do checks on my videos for mistakes, or to give me advice on how to convey information to you guys in the job videos. Man, I kind of sound like I'm doing an Oscar bit here, don't I? Well, either way, I mean it all the same. Next, there are a few people that I would also like to thank, even though they had no direct input or influence over this series in any way, but were huge sources of inspiration throughout this whole process. Oni Black Mage and Red Nova Tyrant, thank you for all that you do. And lastly, I want to thank you guys for watching this series. The amount of support that these videos have gotten has blown me away, and the kind words and knowledge that you all bring fills me with so much joy. Even if Bravely Default is stuck on a dead system with core features that don't work anymore, it still has touched the hearts of many, and I am proud to be a channel that was able to convey the love we all have for this game. This isn't the end of this channel, of course, as I'm currently in the midst of working on the next playthrough series now. I hope you all enjoyed this series, though, and look forward to what's to come. Thank you for watching.